A good evening to everyone who has joined us. A good evening to everyone who has joined us today. My name is Mercy Nyaga from Pezetu, and I'll be the host of today's webinar, Tackling Career Development. We are lucky to be joined by three amazing panelists, Mr. Brian Mao, Mr. Elfa Saizi, and Mr. Walter, Director of Youth and Development at the Office of the President. And to start off, being a career development webinar, I'll give each of you a chance to share your background and your career journey, and then we can begin the panel discussion. Walter, you may go first and just share with us your background and career journey. You may unmute your mics and videos.
Unfortunately, thank you, Marcia, as our host. I will not be in a position to put on my camera because I'm in motion. I would have loved to show you the countryside where I am. That's the beauty of technology, but it's raining. So this is typical of where I am right now. But I just hope that the rain will spare me the connection and I'll be able to be heard and not to be seen. But I think I've put a picture there for me that I took in the studio. I hope it's good enough for people to see. Is that okay?
Yes.
My fellow hosts, panelists, I just want to say it's a privilege to be here and just to, share and where possible, inspire someone out there. And I'll keep my story in below 2 minutes so that we can give room for other conversations and other people. I think much of my career has shifted from being a teacher trained at Kenyatta University to teach fine art in class, to entertainment, to the creative industries, and then to communication in the media industry, and then now in governance. And we're particularly talking about youth and development and trying as much as possible to position the young people for the opportunities that are yet to come, because I want to believe that what has happened to me in the past is today, as I look back, everything that I invested in when I was in my 20s is when it's coming to realization right now. So that has taught me quite a bit to try and share that much of what we will share today is a journey long kind of thing. It's not something that you just switch on and off. And sometimes from a biblical perspective, I want to believe that no one is late, putting in mind that Moses got his calling and his purpose when he was 80. So as young people, I just want to encourage us that look, time is not gone. So I'm open to further conversations, but basically that has been my journey in the space, in the contribution space to what you call international development. Thank you, Mercy.
Okay, that's really amazing. Mr. Brian Mao, if you may introduce yourself and tell us much of your background in terms of career and what the journey has been like.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to the host and also all the invites and everyone who is in the meeting. Good afternoon. Also, apologies very much. I believe when we were planning this meeting, we had not foreseen what happened, but in all, we thank God. I'm connecting from actually my chairman's, that is Dr. Chris Kirubi, who has been my long-time mentor from his burial point. And yes, maybe just as Walter did, I'll quickly tell my story. I went to Jomo Kenyatta University and pursued a Bachelor in Information Technology. And upon graduation, I started my career from real estate, where I did for around 1 year. I was a real estate agent, just selling houses and brokering all that. But however, after a while, I realized that I was not maximizing, really much maximizing the potential that I had. And I actually went into a 3 days of prayer and fasting, and this was after reading a book by Dr. Miles Monroe about In Pursuit of Purpose. It helped me realize who I was, and upon fasting for 3 days and nights, as I always say, on the third day, this was my first time to go actually without food for 3 days, only taking water. And on the third day, it was on a Thursday, I had very clear that you should go and visit Dr. Chris Kirubi. At that time, I didn't know him. I'd never met him in person, but definitely I was always following his tweets and all that. And I took a bold move. I visited him in his palatial home in Loresho, and he welcomed me. I presented myself. Definitely, I grew myself very well, and I told him that I was looking for an opportunity to where my career and my potential can be groomed and nurtured, and he accepted. He took me. That was back in 2018. I went back home. I transitioned actually from real estate. I was among the first 40 students to be trained by the Kenyan government in the area of national cybersecurity training program for 6 months. Thereafter, Dr. Chris took me to Centum to be the lead of the cybersecurity division through definitely my MD, Mr. James Nicole, and our group CEO, Dr. James Moria. And it's been a journey. We got there. Cybersecurity is what took me there, but also you all know that my mentor had a great passion for the youth of this country, and also Centem had just signed an MOU with the NYS to help with the placements of the students that had graduated from the National Youth Service, how they can be able to get job, and that is what led to the development of the Ajiri application, which again was launched by Centem in May 2019. And from then we've been connecting youth to opportunities, and that has been a very exciting journey. And today it's a great honor to see actually the sunset of his career. And it's not the end, actually, it's the beginning, because we believe he's left really good traits and really good, instilled really good seeds in us. And we believe we are the fertile grounds, and we are going to carry on the journey. That is my story. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Elfas. You may introduce yourself and share your career background and journey.
Well, thank you, host, my fellow panelists, Mr. Mongare and Mr. Mwau. So I'm glad to be here this evening and to engage with you guys on this wide, broad topic of career development. So very quickly on my journey began at the Technical University of Kenya, where I pursued mechanical engineering, and then since then a lot has transitioned. I've gotten into the marketing space. I've gotten into the young development space as well, and transitioning through several just a minute. Okay, sorry for the interruption. So as I was saying, my journey started at the Technical University of Kenya, where I pursued mechanical engineering. That was the course that I left my home at the countryside of the lake region of Nyanza to come and pursue in the beautiful city of Nairobi. Since then, I've gotten myself into a lot of career opportunities. Once I remember not kicking off with what I pursued, but I believe in what we call passion, going after that thing that really makes you feel your heart beating very fast. So I started on a marketing space where I used to do digital marketing for majorly politicians. That is way back in 2017 when there was a general election. Then I also had an opportunity to work with the late chairman as well, Dr. Chris. So I moved into the youth development and entrepreneurship space where I started as a digital marketer, rose through the ranks to be a program coordinator. And that is also a space that I was so much of an advocate while back in campus. It's a space I'm so passionate about in helping and empowering the young people to become better people in the society. Yeah, so currently that is the space that I am in, into more into the youth development, empowerment, and the youth leadership and the youth talent space. Just trying to remind that young person that he or she deserves better, and they are the future of this great nation. Thank you.
That was introduction by our three panelists, Mr. Elfas Saizi, a youth advocate and entrepreneur, Mr. Brian Mao, the cybersecurity division lead at Centum Investment Limited PLC, and finally, Mr. Walter Mongare, the deputy director, youth and development, Office of the President of Kenya. So with the introductions complete, we'll head right into the panel discussion of the day. So the first question from our survey was, and by many youth is usually, how do you get to choose your career path? There are so many options. We've just seen that KCSE was completed early in the year and results will soon be out. So for those who are about to pick courses or maybe are about to pick a master's or maybe want a career shift, what would be your advice for someone who's trying to plan their career? We may have Elfas go first.
Yes, thank you for the question. So yeah, currently or presently, what as you have just put it, the students are just cleared their Kenya certificate of secondary and primary education, and they're at the verge of selecting, especially the secondary school students. They're at the verge of selecting which career lines or which career courses to choose. So yes, I would, from my point of view, I would really suggest that it all starts with the passion, that thing you grew up as a child before even entering a classroom and saying that, daddy and mommy, this is what I want to do. Yet you didn't, by then, you as a child didn't even have that formal knowledge of what that career looks like. But it's the presence or whatever activity is happening around that thing you've seen are what drove you to tell your parent or your friends or anyone as a kid that that is what you want to pursue. So at first, it starts with an exploration stage. You need to explore and see what suits you very well before you can really pinpoint it and identify it as this is what I want to choose or this is what I want to do and carry on with it throughout my work and your work life. So yeah, I believe it starts from passion for you to be eligible to choose your own career path effectively, something that will really motivate you along your life as you continue to work on it. I hope that makes sense.
Yes, it does make sense. Brian, what are your thoughts? Please unmute.
Okay, sorry about that. Sorry about that. Yes, answering your question regarding to how one can be able to trace, or rather be able to get to know what career to pursue. I'd say we've grown in an environment which is not very quiet in terms of as youth, we don't know how to just keep quiet, be still, and ask ourselves and seek internally what is that one thing that you can do without strain, that someone can wake you up in the middle of the night and tell you, hey, you are required to do this. And what you'll just do is just maybe take a shower, put on your best clothes, and go and do it without having to practice. Is it music? Is it poetry? Is it art? Is it negotiations? Is it drawing? Is it, is it coding if you are a developer? Is it web design? So that is the first step one should do, and it's quite unfortunate that most of the people, the highest percentage of even those who are even in the big careers, most of them, they just do work because it's work. You need to enjoy your work, whatever that you're called to do. It's what you're created to do. So also you need to find this thing that you've kept quiet, internalized, and you feel is something that something that you are called to do. Do you enjoy doing it? Because again, that will pay a very important attribute to your attitude towards that job you're called to do. So if you love the job, if you like the job, it's been something you enjoy doing it, you will have a good attitude that even your colleagues will notice that really this guy is doing the job out of passion. He's doing it because it is in heart. You will not be forced to undertake tasks. So number one, be still, just find it. What is that one thing that you do easily? Number two, what is that one thing that you enjoy, doing? Is it running? Is it talent? Are you talent oriented? Or is it even assisting other people be able? Is it mentorship? Is it coaching? Is it teaching? And then number three is you need also to check. This is something that if your company today is, or rather your employer comes and tells, we are running bankrupt, but in the next 6 months, we are going to be up on our feet. Is it something that you can even do without, having the motivation of money? Money should never be your motivation, but money should only be a facilitation for you to be able to do the job better. So about finding your purpose. And also lastly, which most of us we don't like, is reading. Reading also helps to unlock your mind and be able to build up a capacity that you're able to internalize your inner self and realize actually most of us realize what we are called to do, or rather what is the best career that you should pursue through reading. And lastly, have courage. Once you find it, do it boldly. Don't watch around people around you. People might come discourage you, but have the courage to go face it. Thank you.
Indeed. So finally, Walter, you may share your thoughts.
I know you are coming to me, so I've just been listening to the rest, so I can now combine what they have said, then I put it back there. I will have a slight departure. And it's what I said earlier. Majority of us in our later age of what you call career, we end up doing we end up doing something else other than what we set out to do. What does that tell you? That there's very little that is defined as a career. There's what is careers that are defined out there, and if you've seen with time and with the trends, those so-called careers, we are losing them every day because the technology is taking over. What you would call a career path a couple of years ago, take an example of accounting services, which is going more into the digital space. So if you are going to train as an accountant and as a career, and then we have automated accounting services, that means that it's robotic and everybody can do their accounting without you. Does it ring a bell and to us? Does it tell us that there's nothing that we can solidly say this is the career path that we need to follow? My thinking on this is that we need to start defining what is that we call career in our understanding. If career are defined as per the jobs that are existing, therefore that's a dangerous trend, because 15% or almost 50 jobs that we know today in the next 10 years will not even be in existence. And therefore in the next 10 years, you're training for something that will never be there. And we've seen that in the past for those of us who trained to be, certain careers don't exist. I always give this as an example for people to understand and for me to just elaborate and explain it in a better way. Typists. There's a time that a typist was the most sought for person in a ministry in government. Today, everybody types. Today, everybody does that from the comfort of their devices. And so that job became obsolete. So my advice today, as we have this conversation on career, it's important to project and start to define what is that we call career. And in my definition, let us restrict ourselves to what is that people can do for purposes of livelihood. And therefore that begins to have a conversation of livelihood as opposed to career. What you start with, and as my colleague panelist said, when you talk about this is what I want to do, this is what I want to pursue from a passion perspective, sometimes it changes along the way. I gave myself as a typical example. Started out as a teacher, went to university to train as a teacher, ended up in communication, ended up in governance. So if I was to define myself 20 years ago, would I say that I wanted to be a governance expert? The answer is no. My suggestion here is, and I agree with Brian to some extent, that number one, it will be nice for you to be exposed, for you to read and expose yourself into more of these opportunities that are available, as opposed to looking at the opportunities as careers. And once you do that, then you line it up and put it together with what is that you have in yourself, in your capacity. It could be a talent, it could be an expertise that you have that requires to be sharpened for you to give services to other people, in the process make livelihood. So I think my contribution to this point is, as you leave school, I don't want you to give your pressure. I don't want you to give yourself pressure right now to ask yourself, what is that I wanna do in future? I would rather you start exposing yourself with what are the possible opportunities that I can go out for. Thank you.
I think we have gained a lot of amazing insights. So my takeaway is one has to really do research, and then second, there is no maybe definite career path, because every 10 years industries evolve, and most of the jobs that maybe are available today, in 10 years time they would have evolved or become extinct. And then finally, that one has to really look at their strengths and where they want to go, what is first their career goal before they can make the career plan. So our second question is concerning the future of work, which has really been talked about a lot, and the fact that we are ongoing the fourth industrial revolution, with tech really disrupting many industries, bringing new opportunities, and really there is no industry today that can say does not have technology being incorporated or involved. So maybe what are your thoughts from your different sectors about what the future of work is? And the second question, what is technology doing to disrupt or to enhance the industry? I think I'd start with Brian, because you have a background in technology. You may unmute.
Sorry about that. I was saying sorry, yes. So I believe number two is, what is technology doing to interrupt the market? Is that right?
Yes.
Excellent.
What is
So,
the future of work, and what?
So I believe the future of work, having had the privilege to be the lead developer and the ambassador of the Algeria application, where we focus on connecting employers to their desired workforce. From the analysis that we've been able to gain from from what we've been able to from the results and from the jobs matching that we've realized is that the future of work will be more of hands-on rather than the previous way of looking what papers do you have, because you'll find most of the employers, especially big corporates, they say yes, the papers are good, but still, aside from the papers will only give you the, will only give you the visibility during maybe when your employer is accessing your CV, or rather going through your CV. But what will keep you on the job is the hands-on skills that you've been able to acquire. What can you be able to do? So the future of work will be, definitely we'll see a lot of shifts, because with the emergence of technology, we are going to see a great shift and a great demand on people with computer skills, from the least skills to actually the real developers of application and systems and all that. Also, again, the future of jobs, there will be a lot of people are going, especially those who are not going to, if you did accounting, if you did something like front desk, most of these people will need to upgrade and get computer skills. Actually, if you are well trained and you can find your way on how to maybe document work, how to write reports, how to analyze data, so these are the people who are going to be getting the opportunities. So my advice also is those who are joining the career, who are in the genesis of their career experience, go for courses that also have a background training in computer. And also those who are already pursuing the career, or rather they are in the proverbs of their career and they're trying to seek more wisdom, definitely you can always go and start taking those refresher courses regarding to anything to do with computing. And again, what is the role that technology is doing to take away jobs? It's true, with the emergence and the evolution of technology, some of the basic jobs are being taken away, because even now with the introduction of working from home, you'll find people are now just developing systems to work for them when they're away. But that should not be a worry in any way, because again, no software can run without human interaction. So we just need to keep ourselves appraised and be able to know what are the current affairs, what are the trends. If it's medicine is what you're choosing on, what are the trends in medicine? If it's accounting you're choosing on, what are the trends on that? And make sure that you align yourself with the latest technology. That way it will give you a cutting edge Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, someone else tried calling. And I think I was actually concluding and saying, once you keep yourself with the right technical skills, and also just aligning yourself with what is coming up, or rather the emerging technology, you'll give yourself a cutting edge and a preference above your other career opportunities who are contesting for the same positions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Brian. Walter, you may share your thoughts, especially concerning public service and governance.
My thoughts would be in our. Can you hear me? Can I be heard?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, as you know, that's the technology that we are talking about, and we need to just always ensure that we're on the same page as we have this conversation. I think I'd want to not necessarily restrict my thinking to public service, but I know that there are many, as we even have a conversation. COVID-19 has taught us a few things, in the sense that the year 2020, many companies came to their knees. Basically, many workers are being laid off. COVID is changing the way things are done. Policy are changing to accommodate that. So one of the things that I see in the future, and I hope we can see from the experiences we are learning, that number one, human experience is what is likely to replace what you're calling the employee-employer kind of relationship. The majority of the jobs are going to be in the space of human experience and human interaction, and some things that we can never take, that machines can never take from us. And the other thing that I would want to even just put there, I've heard majority of the young people doing industrial psychology, which goes into understanding the employee space, into understanding how we do things. My thought would automatically go from, let us know that in future the manual jobs that we see, anything that can be replaced by a robot, by technology, by something else other than the intellectual development, you realize that every solution that we have starts with the mind. Even those things that we're doing that are replacing manual jobs start with innovation, start with the intellectual property and the intellectual thinking. That's why people call it the creative industry. So I'm thinking majority of the jobs are going to go into the space of innovation, using the mind more than using the machines. That is the other thing that I can see. We are also going to start, many of these things. That is why when Brian was speaking and talking about, listen, people are not going to look at your CV anymore. People are going to look more into your personal values versus corporate values. I understand how the corporate works, but what are the personal values that you have that then can be aligned to what that company wants to output in giving a service? So majority of the jobs that you see in the last couple of years, that spaces that have grown, are service industry as opposed to product provision. When you look at Amazon, what shop do they have physical? When you look at M-Pesa, what banking hall do they have? So we are driving ourselves more into service provision as opposed to product development or product distribution. That is what I would say, and allow our other panelists to give his thoughts.
Yes. Okay. Thank you. Thank you too for expounding more on that. So from my end, I really want to add more fuel into what my two fellow panelists have said. Yes, when we look at the topic of technology, it's so unfortunate that technology is a topic that, or it's rather a thing that has the shortest half-life. We can be talking about this in the next 3, 6, 7 months. This and that have changed. But yes, I want to agree with my brother, Mr. Mongare, that we should not look at it in a way that technology or innovation would take up all the human roles. It shouldn't be looked at a way of wiping out or reducing the human labor. What we really need to look up to more in the upcoming years is just to be more tech savvy, to equip ourselves with these skills. And just like my brother Brandon said, that these days they do not look at your degree. Maybe your degree is just a stepping stone to reach there, but once you get there, your additional skills will lift you up to the next level. So yes, so I'm looking at 10, 20 years from now, and I would like to encourage us, because the technology is quickly evolving, because as I said, it has the shortest half-life ever seen before. So your role as someone who wants to pursue any career role is to just affiliate yourself with any technological skill. And once you do that, over express yourself. You see, we looking at things like social media. We should be taking advantage of those, because they are free. We can over express ourselves with the skills we learn from every place we go to. We should not exclude that, not only in our real life, but we should include that in our CV, not only putting what we did in the university. Any other skill that you got from the outside world is an overexpression that would give you a good side to the employer. And that is what Ajiri, as Brandon said, is doing. Ajiri created a platform where they partnered with organizations that trained people on things like cybersecurity, things like digital marketing, and these skills were free and open to the young people to access them. The reason why they were put free is because we are looking at a future where technology is going to be a basic need, and we don't want to restrict it to people who are going to afford it. We want it to be open to the young people because they are the young people are the most industrious people of this nation, and they should assess those skills free. And I would want to say, I would want to commend what Maseno University is doing, because back while I was in campus, you know, you are with your friends and you are going to a different campus, they are going to a different campus. But my friends who went to Maseno told me, and it's true, if you guys can confirm that each and every course you do, be it bachelor in commerce or education, it has to be affiliated with an IT. So you get like something like Bachelor of Commerce with IT. So almost every course in Maseno is merged with IT, because whoever designed that curriculum was so much oriented to what the future will really bring and change in this economy and in the market of career development.
Wow, so indeed, the future of work is in tech and innovation, the creative space, and human interactions, which all may not be replaced at all by machines, but would require human resource. So the third question to the panel would be, with all these technological disruptions and the future of work that will always keep changing, how is someone who is already a student now, maybe not all universities really incorporate technology, so there's a lot of self-training. But when you look at technology in itself, it's quite wide. So with the fact that there is need for skills upgrade, how should one go about this upgrading of skills so as to stay relevant, whether they are a student and then maybe also for those who are already in the workforce? Brian, you may go first.
Sorry, just paraphrase again the question, just slightly. I think I got you to some point.
Yes, tackling skills upgrade as a student and then maybe also for those who are already in the workforce.
Sorry again.
How should one plan the need for skills upgrade while a student or while already in the workforce so as to stay relevant?
Thank you very much. So those who are already in the career and also those who are joining, because everyone must join. Now, the one thing you need to have is a PDP, that is a personal development plan. So what this helps you is you write down, you already, maybe you're pursuing, for example, I'm pursuing cybersecurity. My own PDP will have the things that I need to do with set timelines and also target on when I should be able to finish with them. That way you'll be able to keep track of your career growth, because what you knew yesterday might not be relevant today. So, and also for you to make sure that you see, getting an opportunity is always a fair ground for everyone, because there's an opportunity for everyone, but maintaining or rather retaining that opportunity relies on your own effort and your own input and your own commitment to that course line that you've gotten into. So there are so many ways. There are so many. I believe each and every. I want to believe each and every career, or rather each and every career path normally has some professional courses that one can be able to partake and just make them better. Also, again, one thing I always like doing is at the end of the day, at the peak of one's career, you have to imagine yourself as the boss, as the president, as the CEO. So also, as you are growing yourself, as you are doing, courses just to upgrade what you have already. Also, take time and watch interviews of the people who are where you believe one day you'll be. Interviews of CEOs, interviews of guys doing very well in agriculture, guys doing very well in music. Don't just listen to their music. Go check their interviews. How are they performing? How have they managed to, how have they managed to keep a good track, a relevant record during the work of their career journey? And through replication of the same, you'll eventually find yourself where they are, or even, and definitely because you have the privilege to learn from them, you will even get there with a short duration compared to how long it took them to get there. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Elfas, you may weigh in on this.
Yes, I think I'm going to be brief on this one because my fellow panelists has really touched on what I wanted to highlight on much. But just to embrace on that is that, yes, it is true that at one point or to some point, we will all join the career journey. So it is all about identifying that thing you want to do and try to develop that personal development plan, as my fellow has said. And in a way, try to look at it very many years from today. Let's say, for example, you are pursuing a human resource career. So you need to sit down, try to highlight, try to also have role models in it, people who have done it before. Try to know how is technology influencing that kind of career line. Try to assess, even if you can't afford, I believe there are free technological courses on automation in HR as well, because as the young people, while I was in campus, we used to almost use every hacked version of everything because we couldn't afford it. Things like basic things like Windows. We used to access hacked versions through a friend of a friend. So that again is also the power of networking. So try to access whatever tool is needed to efficiently uh, blend into that career as long as technology is concerned. Because currently, on the example I've mentioned, the human resource, everything is more automated these days. You find the payroll system, the appraisal systems, everything is more automated. But if you're not technologically savvy, you're going to find a very hard time. So one thing you have to do is to embrace that, yes, technology is needed in my career and follow it alongside with your mentors, people who have done it before. You might have mentors who have done it in the ancient times, but then you must have several option of mentors, because they are the not only people, they are people they mentored also into doing that in the 21st century. So follow the mentors, try to look at how is this career changing in the next few years, and how is technology influencing it, and try to look if you can afford it well, because we are not the same. Some can afford, some cannot afford. Try to access those skills and equip them with you so that you can survive the current and the future industry. Thank you.
Great. Both you and Brian have really mentioned about mentorship as well. So finally, Walter, what do you have to say concerning skills upgrades to stay relevant in one's industry?
Give me 1 minute. I'm just reorganizing my thoughts just quickly. I'll come back to that. Do you want to go to something else? Then I come back to us.
So I think we can expound more concerning mentorship. So Elfas and Brian, how did you identify your mentors, and what benefit did you get to have such that you'd recommend that indeed it's important to have a mentor? Brian, you may start.
Sorry again. I believe it's a question about
Mentorship.
significance of a mentor. Yes. It's very significant to have a mentor in your life, because again, it helps you to be able to get a picture, a mental picture in reality of where you want to be sometime. So that again, it's at the end of the day, you can always ask yourself, am I working towards that goal? Because again, if you commit yourself to work and commit to yourself to building your capacity and skills, that definitely will transform who you are as a person. So a mentor simply they allow you to step on their shoulders so that you can be able to see actually far ahead, even from where they are seated. And personally, I can say I've been, for the last 2.5 years, I've been had the rare privilege to sit under the mentorship of Dr. Chris Kirubi. And some of the key lessons that I've been able to pick from him, from how do you present yourself, from grooming, he's been able to even advise our grooming. He's been able to advise my presentation. I remember while I joined Centum, he always told me, Brian, you talk a lot, and you say what you talk, you need numbers, reduce talking. So that assisted me, because I realized anytime you're talking, make sure that you're talking something significant. Give data, give analysis, share away from propaganda. Again, another lesson that I learned from him: be diverse. Monday to Friday, you can do your white collar office job. During the weekends, again, you can choose to be on the farm. From where I'm seated, actually, today, let me just show. I don't know if there's a way I can change my camera. Yes, you can see some of the things that he was able to do. Again, Monday to Friday was doing a job, but if you look, I don't know if I'm able to zoom that. You'll see plantation of bananas. You'll see plantation of avocados and all that. He's done that in close to 700 acres. So what is he taught me is, Monday to Friday you can do your usual, white collar job, but on weekend, be diverse, go venture into something different like agriculture, because now the money you are making from office, for it to make more profit, you have to invest in land, because again, one of the things that Kenya we are very rich in is the land. So that is some of the lessons that I was able to pick from him. And again, these are lessons. The lessons you pick from mentors are lessons that you don't learn in school, you don't read in newspapers. And again, there are two types of mentors. You can either have a virtual mentor, or you can have a physical mentor. Virtual mentor, what do I mean by that? You can check. I believe we have so many Kenyans, or rather Africans, who are mentored by the likes of Elon Musk and Bill Gates and so on. So you can take someone, just a global icon like Barack Obama, and start following their work, start reading their biographies, start reading their books, and so on. That way, you put yourself under their mentorship. And they're also another kind of mentors. You need spiritual mentors, you need career mentors, and then lastly, you need also family mentors, because you need to grow your career, you need to make sure that you're spiritually aligned, and number three, you need to make sure that you have a family and you are a family man, because family is what brings responsibility. So thank you very much. I believe that is, and mentors, they cannot be replaced. So you can align whether you can either have a physical mentor or a virtual mentor. So it's upon to you as God blesses you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Elfas, you may share on mentorship, and then we have Walter.
Yes, thank you. The topic of mentorship is a very, very broad topic. But first, I would want to echo that indeed, in each and everything you want to do, not only in career, not only in business, or not only in handling anything, but it is important to have interactions with people who have been there, people who we call mentors, or people who I can call heroes. But then I believe this should start in-house, because this, as they say, charity begins at home. I believe your dad, your mom, sister or brother should be your first mentors. They should be your first motivators, because if they don't try to push you to to be someone good, then out here, believe me, the environment is gonna be hostile for you. So the very first mentors that I always look up to is family, because as a kid growing up, they provided everything. I lived in the environment, looking at what dad is doing in his career path, looking at what mom is doing in her career path, and trying to, because that is a point when you see, when you live with your parents, that is a point that I said when we were opening the meeting, that you might be a kid, your dad might be in a certain career line, but then you are like, I want to be like dad, I want to be like mom. So they should be your very first heroes, or people I call mentors. And then in the outside, now when you have going to college, and because after college is when now the career journey begins. So a job is just the first step. Immediately after campus, a job is the first step of the career journey. But when you get out there, you will find out that you've met a lot of people, you've networked with a lot of people, and things have changed along the way, because you are no longer in constant stay with your parents. So you've met people who are doing amazing things, and you've developed interest, and you also want to do things that they do, or you want to be like them. So I would recommend, yes, a mentor is really, really a key figure in your career journey, because once you land a job in any career category, you find that so and so is the best in that line, so and so is the best in that line. So you might not get access to them physically, but their works are so evident. As my fellow brother said, you can get their works in the books, you can get their works even in documentaries, even through just stories that people try to say about them. Yes.
Thank you very much. Walter, I hope now you're able to answer. So the first question was concerning skills upgrade and how to go about it from your perspective. And then finally, you can also maybe share on mentorship.
Thank you very much. On the skills upgrade, as you rightfully put it, it means you must have then been exposed to that particular skill, and you want to further it. And I think Saizi and Brian did a good job in expounding what needs to be done. So I may not dwell much on it, but life is all about the constant skilling and reskilling. That's why even as a government, as we speak right now, we have a reskilling department, a whole department in the Ministry of Labor, that deals with the Ministry of Education, that deals with basically reskilling. It means you already have the skill, but as the world evolves and the workspace evolves, everything becomes more complex, and it's important for you to keep refreshing. I always say, even the majority of the accidents that we have on the road, it's not because people are not drivers. Everybody who's on the road is a driver. But what makes the difference? What makes the difference is exposure and not just saying, I'm good at this and that's where I'll leave it. On the part of mentorship, I always say, from even a biblical perspective, one person stepping Elijah, when you talk about Moses, you talk about Joshua, when you talk about David, you talk about Benjamin. So there's always some sort of a partnership. And when it comes to mentorship, it's you're looking for somebody who probably may be in your career path, that can help you, understand more of what you're doing, and see how far you can go and how far you can grow. But above everything else, I think mentorship is not necessarily in the area that for you to look for somebody who is in the area of your expertise, but it's in the area of leadership and human interactions and networking. And that is why I think mentorship is all about information,
I think there is a technical error, but as we wait for that to be sorted, maybe we can have closing remarks from Brian and Elfas, and from there we'll be able to open the floor to the questions from the audience. So, okay, Walter is back.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry.
It's okay. The audio is clear now.
I think I'd concluded, but I'd like to know where you might have lost me so I can recap.
I think it was on your second point, where you were you were sharing on the different kinds of people in a market force and the need of skills upgrade.
All right, thank you very much. I'll just summarize what I said. One, I've just given an example of what happens on the road. But when we have accidents, it's not because people are not drivers, but it's because we take a few things for granted. And therefore, it's important for us to always be out for a refresher course in everything that we do. So if a young person, and even all of us, find ourselves in a workspace that is skill-based, it's important to keep, refreshing your skill, and also exposing yourself, as Brian and Saizi said. And on the part of mentorship, I did mention that mentorship is so much to do with leadership skills as opposed to the area of expertise. If you're looking for expansion and having someone to help you in the area of expertise, then you need to go into apprenticeship as opposed to mentorship. Mentorship does not necessarily mean you need to have someone who's in your career path to mentor you. You need to get exposure into the world of leadership, into the world of human interaction, and in most cases, you need to look for somebody who you actually have a lot of respect for, and who have shown exemplary success in their area of expertise. And I was giving an example of the Bible where people are always paired. There's David for Benjamin. There's Joshua. There's Moses. There's Elisha, there's Elijah, Elijah. So in most cases, it's inevitable that you have to get somebody who needs to work with you in your journey. Back to you, Mercy.
Thank you. So we were at the place of concluding remarks. Walter, you can start, and then Elfas.
Thank you. I may not conclude, but I am available for further conversation. And so I don't know whether this platform allows us to, share for those who have subscribed to this conversation. If we can post our contacts on the chat so that we can have a further conversation on how we can support one another in this growth. Thank you.
That will happen at the end. For now, we are soon to open the floor for questions from the audience. Elfas, you may conclude.
Yes, thank you for having me all the while and for giving my insights on this topic of career development. So I would conclude by a message to the young people out there, including the ones that are subscribers into this webinar today. So I would urge you to, as far as career is concerned, you are not restricted to anything. Let's not parental pressure, friendly pressure, or any other person pressure try to deviate you from whatever you want to achieve. We all know that there are a lot of trends right now in the current world, and given that it is a point when technology is quickly streaming into Africa at the moment, and there is need for us to be technologically savvy. So I urge the young people not to be confused by these trends. If you have chosen, don't just do it for granted, or just do it due to pressure. Do it because you love it. It should be something that you do. It should be something that prompts you to wake up every morning without an alarm. So with those few remarks, I want to leave you by saying that in everything you do, always put God first. He is our key mentor, he is our head mentor, he is our life provider and everything. So put God first and everything will work in anything that you are trying to pursue. Back to you.
Thank you so much. Apologies from Brian. He is at an event, so wasn't able to join us for the first hour. But I believe we've all learned a lot from him and also the other two panelists. And at this juncture, I open the floor for anyone who may have questions. For those on the Zoom call, please do raise your hand if you have a question, and you'll have the chance to unmute your mic and ask. Chris, you may unmute.
Thank you, Mercy. Thank you to our panelists today. I have a question. I like what the insights that our panelists today gave us, in the sense that once we get out there, it is not the certificates, or rather the education, that will be selling us, but actually what will be keeping us on the job is the skills that we have hands-on. I can give my experience just recently. The past 3 months, I was taking my internship, and I noted a gap in the sense that what we're learning in class, I'm a final year student, and I noted that what we're learning in class and what we get out there are really two different things, in the sense that you get to a situation where you're just exposed, you feel vulnerable, in the sense that you really don't connect what's going on out here, in the sense that, yeah, I guess you're given the basics and you're just given generally what for you to expound more on yourself and explore. So considering this gap in the situation, where the gap that we're getting in education and the gap that is out there in the job market, it is time that students need to upskill and make themselves relevant to the current situation. So how can someone keep up with the pressure? Because yeah, I consider it pressure, in the sense that you are trying to upskill, at the same time you need to keep up with your education, and so that you become relevant once you get out there. So how can you maneuver your way out in the sense of trying to develop your skills? Because our panelists today have talked about having the right skills before you get out there. Thank you.
I hope Elphas and Walter, the question was well captured, and mine is actually really related to his. So in summary, how does one really as a student balance the fact that papers are important and you have to really complete your education, but then you're also having to upskill or maybe look for work experience, so that when you join the job market, you have the papers to qualify, you have the experience, and you have the skills to do the job.
If you allow me to go first, this is Walter here. I understand when it comes to you're fresh from college, you realize that what you've learned is absolutely not what is on the ground. And as much majority of the young people, and popularly as I would encourage them with the globalization, with the access to knowledge, to information, to data. I would encourage that majority of us to try as much as possible to try and use all these knowledge base to prepare yourself for tomorrow. And when I say prepare yourself for tomorrow, I want to believe, and as I said earlier when we started this conversation, I would encourage that young people not look for opportunities as we speak. Maze nataka opportunity, where I can get an opportunity. I think we should spend more time preparing ourselves for the opportunity because they do come. And when they come, they find us unprepared. And that is why Chris said, you're in campus, you come out, yes, you've gotten a job, but what you learned or what you have in your skill set or in your knowledge base is not aligned to the workplace. So I think make use of this opportunity from the technological advancements that spend more time, acquiring more knowledge about the space that we are in. That would help you, mitigate the pressure that you're talking about, irrelevancy in a new workplace. The other question, Marcy, that you posed was, if I got you right, at the same time, the world is becoming more competitive. The opportunities are not as many, but the numbers are growing. We look at the statistic in the country, and I always say, without being sensational, it's not nice to say that all majority of the youth are unemployed. It's important for us to ask ourselves what in the population of the youth is employable, and therefore what percentage of the employable youth are not employed. Then that begins to give you accurate statistics in the workplace. So I'd want to allow Elfas to jump in quickly and give his thoughts.
Yes, thank you, Walter, for your insights on answering that question. So allow me, Walter, before you go, allow me to use you as an example to quickly answer the question, because it's better to answer questions using example. I believe it leaves a vivid memory. So, am I audible?
Yes, Elfas, your hard plus your company.
Okay, thank you. So what I was saying is, if I can quickly answer the question in a nutshell, using my brother Walter, you should be at the position of not lamenting opportunities that I'm looking for this, I'm looking for that, but it doesn't come. Eventually, if you position yourself in a way, the opportunities will come quick running to the point that you will be having several options to choose from. So taking at my good brother Walter, for example, we all know what he has done in the creative industry, and at times you might not be in a position to get a job in the career that you studied for. So my brother, as he had said, he started as a teacher. He went to the communication, and now is in the office of the president. And whatever he did, everything he did in the creative industry, he got noticed, and opportunities were there for him, and he got a chance to work with our president, President Kenyatta at the moment. So yeah, opportunities are there, several of them in this great nation. So you just have to do your thing. You just have to interact. You must have the right network, the right people with you. You should be able to write off those people who are trying to be distractions in your career path. Do your thing, follow your passion inside your line of career, and you will get noticed, because there are a lot of potential employers out there. They won't wait for you to make an application. They will definitely come to you once they have noticed that you are so good to be ignored. You are so good at something, because they are looking for a specialist in something. No employer is looking for a jack of all trades. They are all looking at someone who can help them develop a certain space in their company, who can help their company become a company that is more profitable in the future. And if it is an organization, they are looking for that one person who would create more value, who would be more valuable to be able to achieve the organization's vision and mission according to its organizational structures and cultures. I hope that answers you.
Yes, thank you so much for sharing. Lois Wamboi, you may unmute your mic and ask your question.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for that insight, for sharing your insight at Mr. Walter and Elfas. Thank you so much. Lois Wamboi, a student, a third year student at Jomo Kenyatta University, pursuing public administration and leadership. And my question is it true that to thrive in the job market, you require connections, that you cannot make it to point A to B without connections? And then my second question is, how can one build meaningful networks outside there that will be of help? Yeah, when you meet someone, how can you build meaningful how can you build meaningful networks outside there? Thank you.
I would quickly jump on that one before my brother comes in. Yes, it has been a narrative among especially the young people who are still in campus or who have just finished campus, that for you to get a job, for you to get this and that, you need connection. And to me, that I don't buy that narrative. Maybe
We've lost you on audio, Elfas. Okay, I think it's a technical error. So Walter, you may weigh in first.
Thanks, Mercy. If you can hear me, just raise your hand.
Yes, you're loud and clear. Thank you.
All right. I just wanted to say that one, is it true that you need to know someone for you to get a job? The answer is yes and no. Okay. Yes and no, in the sense that, number one, for you to get a job, you need to know about that job existing. And for you to know that that job exists, then you need to know the people who are in charge of that process. Not personally, but you need to know. So that is the yes part. The no part is the persuasion or the perception that has been created that you need to know people for you to get a job. You need to know yourself. And I think that's the first person you need to know yourself. You need to know yourself to be able to get that job. So in a philosophical perspective, yes, I think I agree that one, you need to know someone, but who's this someone that you need to know, but not in the manner that it has been created. The other one is how do you build network is the question. I think I want to say this to Wamboi. It's not about just building network, it's building what you call meaningful network. The people you personally care about, and those people don't need to be your relatives or to be 17 of them. I always say this, that and I subscribe to the biblical perspective of, number one, there are three people that you need to be aware of. Number one, you need to have a confidant, a person who watches out for you. You need to know that there is another set of people who are called comrades that you are in school with. All they care, if you hate something, they hate it too. Then you have the other category of constituency, people who are interested in what you're interested in. So it's good also to just segment your network in that format. Are these comrades, are these constituents that can have my back, but also building meaningful network. Thanks, Marcy.
Elfas, thank you for joining us again. You may share your thoughts now.
Yes, sorry for that. I think I had already given the first section of my insights, and I would want to agree with what my brother has said. It's about building networks as well, and just as he has said, not just networks, but meaningful and useful networks. People who can lift you up, and you can also take advantage of the social media. And I was giving an example of LinkedIn as well, because it is a place that is so full of potential investors. If you have an idea that you need an investor's intervention, it has potential employers and even colleagues who can help you collaborate in whatever idea you have, so that you take it to another level. Yes. So I believe that sums it up all. But what my brother said is the key thing about this narrative of you have to know someone to get a job, or you have to know someone to be linked to someone who knows a job. Yes, it was a yes and no answer based question, as he has put it as well, because the meaningful networks are the people you know. Then the people you don't know, that is now where you get noticed using your skills. Because I would believe that, for example, using my brother Walter as an example, still, whatever I did in the creative industry, in the creative space, all of us, most of us have been seeing him on TV, but I may not know, but personally, I don't think he knew President Uhuru Kenyatta, but he got noticed in that space and he was given a job. So yes, your skills can sell you, and the people who you know can also lift you up and give you jobs and connect you to investment opportunities or anything you need help in your career line. Back to you, Marcy.
Thank you so much. Maybe something else that Lois was asking. So how the meaningful networks are really important. The world is wide, so one really has to be intentional on what they want. But now, how do you build that meaningful connection and maybe maintain it? And if possible, to maybe share a personal experience of how you go about it in building your networks, and maybe a case where it came in handy, that would be great. Back to you, Walter and Elfas.
Mercy, if you can put it again, I didn't get you.
How exactly do you build that meaningful network and maintain it? Because it's in terms of as a skill practically, because many are told, build a network, but how do you actually build it?
This is a typical question of you can take a cow to the river and you cannot force it to drink. Mercy, we cannot teach you how to build the network. We can only give you principles of building a network, and so it's very difficult for me to answer unless Saizi has another form of response. But it's very difficult to teach you how to build networks.
Yes. Marcy, I would also want to agree that it is not a so straightforward answer question on how to get these networks as well. I would want to make it a home affair right now where we have that Mr. Walter might know something we don't know, you don't know. I might know something you don't know. I might access opportunities that might be of value to any of you inside here. So these connections of these people, they're not far away. There are people who we rub shoulders with everywhere, because now this is an opportunity. Because if Mr. Walter is in the young space, youth development space, I am into the young development space, and there are a lot of opportunities both in the private and the government sectors that he or me might get hand to know. So I might say the first two meaningful connections, or the first two meaningful people, should be us alongside Mr. Brian, who just left. So yeah, so they can be gotten everywhere. It doesn't really mean that if you look up to Darshan Chandaria, for example, or any other successful man, that you can't get to them. Yes, uh, another way you can get to them is when they try to notice whatever you are doing and you clash in a line of maybe in a conversation or in the social media. As I said, it's a very powerful sector that we need to utilize. So yeah, these connections are everywhere, but some are so closer than you think. And right now, just giving a perfect example that meaningful connections or network, we all of us know something that maybe none of us know about, or we might have a hand in career opportunities or employment opportunities. So yes, connections and meaningful networks are so everywhere, so closer than you think. It doesn't have to be those who are so successful, because you might not at some point reach out to them because of one reason or another. But start with where you are. Like just like Walter said, your colleague, look for them. Your colleague back in campus, look for them. They might be so much transitioned into some other successful figure. So yes, I would say connections are everywhere, and it starts with where you are right now, right here. Hope that answers you.
Yes, indeed, the question is fully answered, that there is no clear methodology, but one just has to be intentional, and it's a continuous process as one journeys in their career. So the other question we have from Esther Gidu, you may unmute your mic.
Thank you very much, Mercy, for the opportunity, and also thank you to our wonderful panelists for the insights. I am a second-year student at JQuat pursuing nutraceutical science, and my question is, since my field deals mostly with nutrition and organic foods and pharmaceuticals, how can I integrate that with technology? Because according to what I've learned today, technology is almost taking over everything. How can I integrate that with technology so that I cannot be left out? Should I take on short courses? And if I should, what courses should I take? Because it's so hard to integrate if you're dealing with the nutritional aspects or even other courses that do not have IT in it. How can you integrate that with technology? Thank you.
Mercy will allow us to, keep responses short and precise. You will allow me to run in the next 3 minutes with your permission. As I said earlier, we will be available to take any further conversational engagement going forward by exchanging our contacts, because some of the questions that may be asked may need to be, they may not have a heap response, a quick response, but it may want for us to process it further and share resources, share data, share information. Putting in mind the question that she has asked on how do you integrate technology webinar in the manner that we are having them now. So it's also possible to look at what anyone is doing right now and not see an entry point. But it's interrelational points that could be of value in every area that we are talking about, whether it's data management in the nutritional space that you are in. You need data, you need platforms for exposure, you need to share this in the social media spectrum that is available for the information to go out there. If it's acquisition of more knowledge, there are digital libraries and digital spaces. So my answering is not necessarily that it's fully foolproof of the question that she has asked, but an understanding of it's an integral part of ICT and the technological
Hey, Mercy, can okay.
Oh, Elfas, you can also, chip in.
Oh yeah, so I was saying, keeping it short, to answer the question, I think she posed that she was a student of nutrition. I am not an expert in that field, but one thing for sure I know, integrating any course with IT, one key thing that will really assist is the internship. So if you go for these internships and external attachments in this industry or the industrial attachments, they will tend to teach you, they will assume that you do not know how they operate, because each industry operates in its own culture and organization culture and structure. So yes, one way that if you are patient enough that you can integrate your course with IT is to wait until you get an industrial attachment or an internship, because I went for an attachment, I went for an internship, and they taught things that they taught there in regards to automation were things that we were not taught in class. So yes, that is a sure way that I know that every course, regardless which course, you can gain any skill that you need as far as the market is concerned, because the nutrition industry is more adaptive and it's conforming to the technology, because things are more of being automated, especially in the processing and manufacturing sectors. I hope that answers.
Indeed, because her question was an IT based course, how do you integrate IT to be relevant? So, indeed, based on maybe work experience or research on your specific industry, then can one know what is the market demand and accordingly plan the IT skills upgrade one should undertake. Walter, I don't know if you had any interrupted thought that you would like to complete. Okay, so sorry for all the technical difficulties. The different locations do have different weather patterns, but I want to believe that we have all learned so much and that all the questions so far have been answered. And to close, maybe Elfas, you can share your contact, where how they may reach you, and any other further remarks you may have. For those who have already left, we will follow up the contacts and share for those who may need them. Thank you.
Yeah, so thank you, Mercy, for having me and the others, and to the audience and everyone who hosted this. Thank you very much. I believe the insights was quite important and useful to each and every one of us, alongside the questions that were answered. I hope they help the audience and someone out there. Yeah, so my final remark would be that just as I said earlier, just do what you can do best. You might be in nutrition, as one of the audience said. You might be in technology. You might be studying technology. But then again, there's that one thing that you have always wished to do, or you have always longed to do. It's necessarily, it is not necessarily in your line of career, but just that little thing. That's why I embraced on over expressing yourself, because there are a lot we learn in this world. There's something that the world is telling us. All we have to do is just to listen, because it's all about problem solving. If you can solve 1, 2, 3 problems, then that is what every investor needs. That is what every employer needs, because companies make profits by solving problems. So do your thing, do it at your best, connect with the right people, and you will be successful. Yeah, so about the contact, yeah, I'm going to share my phone number in the chat section if anyone at their free time has anything to ask in regardless to career, youth development space and entrepreneurship, and also on my social media. So I use the same name in all social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, whichever. So, but I am so much dominant on LinkedIn so much. So I think LinkedIn is a perfect place where we can also connect as well to share insights, because I believe that is where some of us can gain career development skills from, and that is where you can at least get to see if there is an opportunity that is up for grabs. I think most of them I do update them on my timeline. So that is one of the best social media platforms that I would urge all of us to connect in. So I go by the name Alpha Saizi in LinkedIn, and my number is, I'm just typing, just a minute, and my number is there on the chat section. I hope you all can see it. So let's connect, let's keep talking and help one another, because I believe all of us, or most of us here, under the youth category, and that is a space that I'm so passionate about. That is a space that I look forward to mentoring a lot of young people especially in the youth entrepreneurship and employment category. So thank you very much once again, Pezetu, for hosting me, and I believe in the future we will have more of these conversations. Thank you very much, and may God bless you all.
Indeed, it has been a great session. We are grateful to all our panelists, starting with Mr. Walter Mongare, the Deputy Director for Youth and Development at the Office of the President. We were also able to host Brian Mao, who is the Cybersecurity Lead at Centum Investment PLC. And finally, many thanks to Elfa Saizi, a youth advocate and entrepreneur, for making this panel discussion possible. I believe all the questions have been answered, and for those who have joined us through YouTube or on the Zoom call, we are grateful for your participation, and we look forward to seeing you guys at the next webinar, which is actually a summit coming up on Wednesday, 23rd of June. We shall be hosting a Future of Work and Tech Summit that will be actually building more on this conversation. We do look forward to having you all tune in and engage further with us. For any inquiries, you may talk to Pezetu through the email hello@pezetu.com. Also follow our social media handles for any updates, and to be able to send any messages through the inbox, and we will definitely reach out to you. At this juncture, we have actually come to the end of the webinar, and the conversation never ends. It just takes a pause, and we do look forward to seeing you guys again Wednesday morning to join us as we hold the summit that will actually be continuing this conversation. Pezetu is an organization that handles actually the question of skills upgrade and entrepreneurial skills for those who do want to venture into business. So do follow our pages and sign up for membership at our website, and you will be able to receive much mentorship, much more insight, and many more benefits. So thank you all, and at this juncture, you are free to leave the call.